Good. Good. So, hello once again as we slide into the end of our month on Rolling in the Deep. I love that overarching theme, because who wants to go through life in the shallow end? Who wants to go through life mediocre? Who wants to go through life really without going deep? And it's interesting because what I've learned about people is that people are deep, and we just pretend to not be deep because the world itself is rather mediocre and not always saying, show me your depth. Now, today's talk is interesting for me because it wanted me to talk about setting boundaries. But it just didn't feel very deep to me. You know, because mostly when we talk about setting boundaries, we talk about setting boundaries because we don't know how to say yes or no, or we don't know how to shut people up, right? Or we don't, so there's something about setting boundaries from a purely human perspective that didn't really interest me. What does interest me is living in such a way that the deep that you're rolling in, the commitments that you're in, inform your responses. So what happens normally is we move through life reacting, not responding. You know, we move through life, the wind goes, blow, you go that way, you go that way. Your mother wants this, your sister wants this, your employer wants this. So there's kind of this knee-jerk reaction that happens. And sometimes it's not always in such a good way because we say things we don't mean. We say yes when we mean no. We say no when we mean yes. We have our intention becomes looking good or being liked, not disappointing people. And even though that may be normal, and even though it may be natural, I am not so sure that it doesn't lead us into what the reading was today, into this valley of tears at some moment when you and I say, is that all there is? Is this all there is? And the answer to the question is no, but we kind of have to go for it. You know, we have to, there's something within us that needs to find something greater than ourselves to be committed to. Because commitment to money, or commitment to putting food on the table, commitment to looking good, commitment to any of that, saving up for your retirement, all of that is perfectly fine. As the reading also said, it just is not enough. So So the reading came from a piece of work called 4 Ways of Being for a Great Life, 4 Ways of Being for a Great Organization out of the Harvard Business School. Now, in this slide, you'll see the other 3 ways, the other 3 ways of being, which are for another time in that, you know, they have me on a very short leash here, 20 minutes. But I want to focus on this one, being committed to something greater than yourself. You know, last week we talked about, 2 weeks ago, we talked about being cause. Be cause in your life, being responsible for your life, being the creator of your life, being the architect of your life, so that so we don't end up, after our very short minute here, which is a very short minute, I don't care whether it's 10 years or 110 years, whatever it is, I promise you, whenever it's over, it's going to feel really short. But you don't want to be at the end of whatever that is and go, wow, you know, what did I do? What did I love? What was I committed to? Now, I love this quote. It's actually on our program, our bulletin this month, which says the 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Now, I'm not any different than you. I was 45 years old when I hit my "Is this all there is?" This article that I excerpted this reading from also talked about the midlife crisis, right? We all, I'm looking around, almost all of us have been there or are in it, which is simply this: is this all there is? You know, that there's a time when you just have had enough food, enough chocolate, enough ice cream, enough alcohol, enough sex, enough everything, and then it's like, okay, now what? Now what? And that now what kind of also comes with aging, I think, because there is something profoundly sobering about looking forward and seeing less time than looking backward, which I think causes most human beings to begin to question, what am I doing? But at 45, I caught the vision of my life. I did exactly what this song did. I left my very cushy job as a information officer for a very large law firm in Los Angeles and walked away. That's been about 25 years. But I knew the answer to the question. I was born for this. I have had that experience. I was born to do this. I was born for this really 3 or 4 very powerful times. One was when I became a minister. And even though the people in my world were like, what? You don't even believe in God. That was kind of disturbing, wasn't it, that I said that? That's not really true. I did believe in something, but at the time, I didn't know what it was. I knew and know to this day that there is an intelligence undergirding us, a great love undergirding us. Now, we name it God. Some people call it Spirit. Some people call it Allah. Some people call it Yahweh. Some people, people all over the world, no matter what your culture is, have this understanding that we of ourselves did not make ourselves or anything. But I didn't have a relationship. So it wasn't popular that I quit my job and went to do this, but I knew it was why I was born. I experienced that same feeling again the first time I went to Africa. It was like, oh, wow, I'm here to do this. I'm here to be here. I also had it, by the way, when I came here on March 2nd this year as your temporary minister, and it's like immediately it's like, nah, you were born to be here. Yay me. So people don't always know why they're here. How many of you don't know why you're here? Like, you haven't really found it yet. Like, why am I here? Yes, I think we need to plant some seeds so that you discover your purpose. And it doesn't have to be high and mighty and holy at all. I mean, your purpose could have been raising children. It could be raising animals. It could be gardening. It could be, as the reading also said, it could be anything you want it to be. But the idea is that it is so important to you, so meaningful to you, that it allows you to move through life with some clarity on how to say yes and how to say no. Because the truth is, from the moment you're born to the moment you die, you are saying yes and no all the time. Yes, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. Yes, I'm going to move. Yes, I'm going to take this job. No, I'm not going to. Yes and no. And if you don't know why you're saying yes or why you're saying no, if you don't have a higher reason, you're going to end up spending the majority of your time, your resources, your energy engaged in things that may or may not be meaningful to you and may or may not be meaningful to your commitment. Lynn Twist is a woman who wrote a book called The Soul of Money. And I saw her in person in North Carolina. I was so inspired by her because she talked, she was a woman who worked for the Hunger Project, and she was a fundraiser for them, and her work took her into the world. into the most resource-poor areas of the world. And she talked about how moving through life, that commitment got her out of bed every morning. It was like having a leash around her neck in a very good way, letting her know what was in harmony with that commitment and what was not in harmony. And when we say that, we mean not only what do I do, but how do I spend my time? How do I respond to this email? How do I respond to this invitation to be a keynote speaker over here? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? We're always forced with these, force is the wrong word, presented with these options. Do I change jobs? Do I leave Cape Coral, right? Do I get married? Do I get divorced? So if you know why you're here, it will make all of that easier, because setting boundaries is easy when you know where you're going and you know why you're going there. Now, we have to back up for a second, because remember, what we're doing here, and what I'm always doing and what you're always doing, is I'm here to free your soul. That's what I'm here for. Because there is the conditioned self, there's just this purely human self that's walked through your family, walked through your own families, walked through your career. And for most of us, without some introspection or some contemplation or some pivoting or something, we will just walk through it without rolling in the deep. And we won't know necessarily why. So this, by the way, does not have to be committed to a job or to a profession or occupation. It could be simply being committed to being a loving soul. In fact, we can just take that one, because it won't matter which one you take. It doesn't matter whether, I tell people, like this job, you do realize that in this job, what's in alignment with the job I have is I cannot be sick on a Sunday. No, you're laughing, but I have never missed a Sunday because of illness. I've missed Sundays because I'm off, but I've never not shown up, because the commitment itself, it would be inappropriate for the most part to be missing Sundays. So there's something like, it gets you out of bed. It sets your priorities. It lets you know, it lets you find your sacred yes and your sacred no. Now, so if we go back to like your commitment in life, you could have your overarching commitment in life to be a loving person, which would be, do you know how good that would be? I would love for 99% of the peoples of the world to commit to being loving people, and life would look completely different. Out of that commitment to be a loving person, you would have to begin to examine how you're spending your time. Are you spending your time in alignment with being a loving person? You would have to look at how you're spending your money, right? Am I spending my money in service to love or not? So it might dictate where your donations go. It might dictate where you volunteer. It might dictate who your friends are. It might dictate the conversations you have. It would organize your life in such a way that every breath you take would be in service to what makes you light up, what makes you happy, what makes you get out of bed in the morning, what makes you lay your head down at night feeling satisfied and happy. This article, the Harvard Business School says there's 4 ways of being that lead to a successful life, and one of those ways of being is being committed to something bigger than you. Because putting food in your mouth and clothes on your back and getting to the end of your life and say, God, I did such a great job of eating and wearing clothes. But that's kind of what happens, right? And kind of in the middle there, we do false starts because we're saying yes to things we mean no. We're saying no to things we mean yes. If you're parents, you know you've made mistakes with your kids, that if you had been clearer about what your commitment was, you might have responded differently rather than reacted. In relationships, how many of us react instead of responding? It's because as human beings, as conditioned human beings, we have buttons. I figure the average person has about 30 of them, right? The 30, you insulted me. I'm insulted by you. You disregarded me or disrespected me, right? Or I didn't like what you said, or whatever they are, but we just walk around like boom, 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 reacting to people, rather than saying, I am a child of God. I am wonderful. I have a right and a reason to be here. I have a purpose, though I may not be clear what it is, I know that it's bigger than I am. And we want to say yes to that. I want you to say yes to that. So that when the next person calls you and says, do you want to go have dinner? You can say, rather than say no if you mean yes and yes if you mean no, you can actually see if you're spending that time with that person is forwarding your commitments in life. So it makes it clearer. I'm just going to say I'm not sure it makes it easier, but it certainly does make it clearer. Now, for the most part, we act in life as if the purpose in life is to make it, to succeed. No, not even to succeed, to make it, right? To make it through. Oh my God, I made it through. I made my car payment this month. Looks like I'm going to be able to make it next month. I'm being silly, but you understand what I'm saying? It's like I have my retirement, so I don't have to worry about being a bag lady on the street in 10 years. And we act as if that's the reason we're here. But it's not the reason we're here. The goal of life is not to make money and acquire belongings and gain respect and admiration in the world. That's not the point. This side says, live your life in service to something greater than yourself and watch the universe inundate you with resources. Watch the universe provide you with the time, treasure, and talent you need to fulfill that purpose. So can you feel the difference? This says, I'm going to dedicate my life. Lynn Twist dedicated her life to fundraising to end hunger on our planet. That was her purpose in life. She's a fundraiser to end hunger on this planet. I am a minister to raise consciousness on this planet. Truly. Now, some people in their service to humanity fundraise for the Hunger Project. Some people are going to care for animals. Some people are going to care for children. Some people are going to build nonprofits. Some people are simply going to show up in life as loving, caring people. But the commitment itself gives your life meaning. And the universe says, here's what you need to do your purpose. Some people need $1 million because they want to create an effective organization. Some people just need a camera because they just want to go take pictures. Some people need a lawnmower or a hoe because they just want to garden. So as the reading said today, it doesn't matter what it is at all. What matters is that it's you. Now, it's you. It represents you. The premise here, the primary idea, is that you are not merely a bag of bones moving your way through time, trying to get along with other people in a mediocre world. That is not why you're here. And sometimes it seems so overwhelming because there are so many people and so much nonsense going on in the world, so little conversation. Now remember, I know how deep you are. In your private moments by yourself, you and you and you, you're deep. You are deep people. But it's not really, people don't go there with each other. They don't go deep. They don't say, let's get deep together. Let's talk about what really matters here. So if we just, if we just play around with that, if we just stay in that lane, then this valley of tears and this midlife crisis are inevitable. They may be inevitable anyway, because it seems that we kind of learn. Michael Beckwith, he's very well known for saying to people who are on their spiritual path, are you being pushed by pain or are you being pulled by vision? We want to switch how that is for most people, because pushed by pain is how most of us grow. We're going along, we're very happy, we're comfortable, we like our house, we have good food, we have friends, we're not alone, we're not going to be bag ladies. But still, the moment comes when, well, is this all there is? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Isn't there more? Is there more? And so for most people, pain pushes us into a new level of expression. And that pain sometimes is a diagnosis, an illness, a divorce, your house burns down, something happens which is painful, which really puts you face down in the mud, going, truly, I'm not even exaggerating. When I was 45, right on the precipice of I was definitely pushed by pain. I was 45 years old. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I had a husband who was addicted to everything. And I was so tired of taking care of life, and I had a very big job, and I had lots of money, a beautiful house, and I came home one day, and truly I was on the floor. It's like, God, if you don't give me something to do that's more interesting than this, take me now. That's what it was, and it was just an invitation to the universe. And remember, I didn't really know about God too much then. I just knew that I needed help. So what you can do is you could just ask. Just say, show me. But to do that, you have to ask. I believe you have to ask, because you can be pulled by vision, which is way better, by the way. Let your vision pull you. So that little dream you've had, that little bug to become this, or to go here, or to volunteer here, or to get to know these people, all of those are signs. Because the God within you and the God within you have a holy partnership. And even though there was a time when you didn't know that you were a spiritual being having a spiritual experience, you always have been, and that sacred partner that we call spirit or call God or call whatever name you give it has always been with you, simply waiting for you to ask, what is mine to do? Once you do that, you will be able to answer the question with a yes or with a no. Because listen, and you all know I'm very practical. If you're committed to a healthier, more vibrant and vital lifestyle, if you're committed to a healthy body and you move in that direction, your yes and no's become very obvious. Do I eat this chocolate cake or not? Always. Okay, I'll do it another way. So it's Saturday night. I have church every Sunday morning, right? I have to get up and get pretty and write a talk, and somebody calls me and says, hey, you want to go drinking tonight? What's my answer? Yes. Hopeless. Sometimes it might be a yes, and you just bite the bear, and if I ever come in with bloodshot eyes, you'll know I I didn't listen to my inner wisdom. You get my point, right? You know, it doesn't work for everyone. The spiritual stuff doesn't work for everyone. But you get my point. The point being that often, more often than we like, truly, we are engaged in activities, engaged in conversation, engaged in yeses and nos that not only don't feel right for us, but actually probably lead to a whole lot of negativity and worry and doubt and hurt feelings and whatever it is. And above all else here, we teach. Above all else, I teach. We are responsible for the quality of our own lives. We can do nothing about what happened to us 27 years ago. We can't do anything about the people around us, whether they're behaving or misbehaving. We can't do anything about the future that's not here yet. But what you can do something about is you. In any given moment, you can change how you think. You can change what you do. You can change what direction you're headed in. You can become healthier, happier, more fulfilled. What stops us from doing those things? What stops us? I can ask you to shout it out because you all know what stops us. Laziness, fear, procrastination. What else? Ego. The opinions of others. What will my mother say? Change. Yes. So we're indoctrinated to play it safe. And the soul does not play it safe. The soul is a flamboyant, thrill seeker. It is. It wants to shine, and it wants to love, and it wants to be loved, and it wants to do good. So here's your affirmation for the day. I'm going to read it first. You're going to listen to me read it, and then you're going to say it with gusto. We'll see how many people didn't hear what I just said. Ready? My soul-centered yes and my heart-centered no support the fulfillment of my life's most important commitments, which I serve with joy and passion. Your turn.
My soul-centered yes and my heart-centered no support the fulfillment of my life's most important commitments, which I serve with joy and passion.
Woohoo! Part of the joy of a spiritual community, which we are growing into, emerging into, evolving into, opening into, is that the people you're here right now support you in that. They say yes to you. And you can be your messy self as you as you change and you transform and you let go of what you don't need and you straighten out the kind of the behaviors that you have that make you not compatible to other human beings. Okay, well, maybe you guys don't have any of those. Right? But the community, we're here to bear witness to one another's greatness and to support that journey, because whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. If you want to be an author, you can be an author. If you want to be a singer, you can be a singer. If you want to be a minister, you can be a minister. You can do anything you want to do. You say yes. We say yes to you. God says yes to you. Yes. And off you go. Well, we have one person. All right. Let's anchor this in prayer. So always the invitation is to be willing, to be willing, to be willing. So whenever you hear anyone speak, a podcast, a song, whenever you hear anyone, you need to pay attention to that which sparked something in you and run with it, because I don't know how many people are in the room, but 40 people in the room, there's 40 sparks, I promise, 40 different sparks. So we just listen. But for now, let's anchor it in prayer, because when we pray, we're praying into the subconscious, unconscious, beyond the logical, reasonable mind. We're going into the soul. We're going into the soul, which is located within your inner landscape. And so we close our outer eyes in order to let the world be for a minute, to just let it be. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to, it can wait while we open our inner eyes to gaze into that part of our being that is connected to love, connected to passion, connected to commitment, connected to purpose. That there's nothing mediocre about us. There's nothing mediocre about God. That we are connected to the source of passion, the source of purpose. And so as we turn within, I just simply speak my word, knowing that prayer, that anything visible comes from something invisible. Everything visible arises from something invisible. And so right now, we're in the realm of the invisible. We're in the realm of possibility thinking. We're in the realm of imagination. We're in the realm of connecting to that which says yes to us and then gives us the resources we need to do it. And we want to let it. And so what I know for each person here is that no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're in your flow of committed, passionate things, whether you're opening to it, whether you're standing at the edge of the cliff looking for 20 seconds of insane courage, wherever it is that we move forward as a result of this prayer, that something unblocks, something opens, anything that would block or obstruct our forward movement dissolves. And we just simply say yes. We let go and we let it be. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful in this moment that we have within our spiritual DNA passion, that we have within our spiritual DNA the ability to change our lives, to become excellent people of integrity and passion and commitment, and that we will never be satisfied if our living does not add and benefit the whole. Never. We're here for each other. And so we move forward from this time of prayer, knowing that, being willing to discover and express whatever is lying latent within us. It's the divine plan. And so with an open heart and an empty mind, we just accept the good together by saying, and so it is. Amen.